Shalom, my dear friends. Shalom from the holy city of Jerusalem. Before I begin today's teaching, I would like to request that anybody who is signed in on the YouTube live chat page, would you please let me know if you are seeing the movement of my lips in sync with the sound that you are hearing of my voice. Please check and let me know, because in our last week's class there was a discrepancy between the voice and the lips, and I would like to try to see that we set today's class off on the correct footing, so I will not be actually starting the substance of today's teaching until I do hear from you whether you can now see my lips moving in sync with the audio that you are hearing, hopefully, wherever you are. So I am waiting for some response on the live chat on the YouTube users page to get an answer to this question. Please do let me know just as soon as you can, anybody who has signed in. So again, I do ask this question: if you are signed in on the YouTube chat page and can hear what I'm saying and see the video, would you please let me know if your lips are moving in sync? And I'm very sorry about this. There's a big dramatic echo. Okay, well, thank you, Jesse. I do thank you. I actually put the echo on in the hope that when I start my singing, as I will do very presently, then there will be some kind of effect. Anyway, I hope the echo is a bit less now. And with that, let's start today's teaching. Shalom. Today, the 11th day of this holy month of Nisan in the year 5780, and indeed we can certainly ask the question: why is this Pesach different from the Pesach of all other years, when so many of us actually sitting as I am here, feeling quite well, thank God, supplied with food and water, electricity and phone and internet, nevertheless under very strict lockdown in my neighborhood here in Jerusalem, and we have police and troops, riot police and armed troops on the streets trying to ensure that people stay in their houses and lie low at this very critical period just before the festival of Pesach. Well, with the help of God, for those of you who are subscribers to my letter from Jerusalem, I do hope in the coming days, today or tomorrow, to be sending out a commentary on the overall situation and what it means for us this Pesach. But today, because we are on the eve of this festival, is going to be celebrated under such strange and unusual circumstances, I would like to share with you some of my favorite melodies for the Leil HaSeder, for the night of the Seder. In our homes, many of us will be alone with maybe one or two family members or a friend, but not according to the plans we had. Many other thoughts in the heart of man, but God's counsel will prevail. And before I begin, I'd like to recall a little story about a very special man by the name of Velvel Pasternak, of blessed memory, who passed away last year after a very long and distinguished career recording the music of Jewish communities, traditional music, synagogue music, chazanut, and other Jewish music. And I had contact with him just under 40 years ago, and we met a few times about a project that the Breslover Hasidim were then working on to write down the melodies of the Breslover Hasidim. And he told me that his beginning in the business of recording Jewish music was to produce, way back in the 1950s, for those of you who remember what a record was, it was played on a gramophone, and the record was a record of the songs of the Seder night. And some weeks after Pesach, Velvel Pastor Mac, alav shalom, told me that he received a letter from a family saying, thank you so much for this wonderful recording. We played it on our Seder night, and it made such enhancement to our Seder. Well, now, certainly the Noahides among us are perfectly at liberty to play this video and to go through it should you choose some of these songs. I'm going to be looking at the traditional Haggadah of Pesach, which is a document that is based upon the biblical command that on that night, the night of the 15th of Nisan, a father must tell his sons and his family, educate those present in the miracles that were done in the time of our forefathers in Egypt. And the essential formula of the traditional Haggadah is already present largely in the Talmud, in tractate Pesachim, dealing with the Pesach sacrifices and the Pesach commandments in general, and in Maimonides' code in the section on the laws of Pesach, he has the complete version of the Haggadah as he had received it, and I'll be using the Ashkenazi version of the Haggadah, and it's traditional when beginning the Pesach Seder, it's traditional to actually sing the order of the commandments, the mitzvot that were performed during the Pesach Seder. So let's turn now to the Haggadah, which starts with the mitzvah of the Kiddush, and after the Kiddush over a glass of wine, we wash our hands traditionally without making a blessing in order to eat of the karpas, a piece of a vegetable such as a piece of a carrot, a small piece of carrot or celery or potato or the like. And all of these are following very ancient practices, which I'm not going to discuss now. It's after that that the celebrant of the Haggadah begins what is called the Magid. The Magid is the section in which we are actually performing the mitzvah of telling the story of the Exodus from Egypt. So, after the initial statement of the celebrant, when he lifts up the matzah, he recites the formula to everybody present. Ho lachmo aniyo di acholu avosonna ve'aro de mitzrayim kol di chafin yese ve'yechol kol yitzrich yese ve'yifesach hashato hocho leshono habo be'od Yisrael hashato avdei leshono habo b'nei choirin. We certainly, this year, many of us can feel what it is to be imprisoned in our exile, each and every one where he or she is located now. And we are praying in this opening declaration that the coming year we shall indeed be freed and redeemed. And then everybody knows the melody of Ma Nishtana. Ma Nishtana, the four questions with which our sages laid down that will be recited by the youngest child, if available, or the youngest person present. Ma nishtano halaylo hazeh mikol halelos shebechol halelos anu ochlin chomet umatzah chomet umatzah halaylo hazeh kulo matzah halaylo הלילה הזה כולו מעצום, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאור ירוק כועס, שאור ירוק כועס. הלילה הזה כולו מור, הלילה הזה כולו moro. And so the singing goes on, the recitation of this Ma Nishtana with all of the 4 questions, which I will not go through in their entirety, but go back now to the text of the Haggadah going forward, and I am focusing principally on the songs. We begin the recitation of the Haggadah after 4 questions by starting to tell the story of how we were slaves in Egypt and that God took us out. And then we tell the famous story of the Seder night of those 5 rabbis in Bnei Brak in the times of the Tanaim of the Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Tarfon, and how they were telling the miracles of the Exodus until the daybreak. And then the Haggadah brings to us the section about the 4 sons. There are in the Torah 4 different places where the Torah speaks about telling your sons in different forms about the Exodus from Egypt. And our sages, based on these 4 mentions, spoke about the 4 different kinds of son: the wise son, the wicked son, the simple, pure one, and the one that doesn't even know how to ask the questions. And then the Haggadah enters into a slight halachic discussion. Why don't we tell the story of the Exodus from the new moon of the month of Nisan? Because in the section telling us when to tell your son, it says, Bayom Hahu, on that day. On that day, do you mean in the daytime, the 14th of Nisan? And the text says, no, Ba'avur Zeh. For the sake of this, namely this paschal lamb which is on the table before the celebrants in our time, the matzah and the maror, on the evening of the 15th, that is when we tell the story. And then the Haggadah goes in back to the origins of the children of Israel in the days of before Abraham and how they were idolaters, but God took Abraham out to the land of Canaan, and God kept his promise to Abraham, whom he told would have his descendants go into exile. But in fact, God kept his promise and took them out of the exile. Continuing now with the text of the Haggadah, after this reminder that God keeps his promises, we come to a section which is sung as the cup of wine is lifted, a very well-known section. This promise is what stood for our ancestors and for us too. Vehi she'amdo, vehi she'hamdo, lavoseinu velonu. Vehi she'amdo, vehi she'amdo, lavoseinu velonu. שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לך לא יעשינו, אלא שבכל דברו עומדים עלינו לך לא יעשינו. והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם. After this, the next section of the Haggadah is the central section. The central section is what we would call a midrashic explanation of verses that come at the beginning of the portion of Ki Tavor in the book of Deuteronomy. The opening section of the portion of Ki Tavor deals with when Israel will be in their land and they will be able to till the land and reap the fruits of the land. The first fruits are to be brought up to the temple by the owner and to be presented at the altar and given as a gift to the priests in the temple. And at the time of coming into the temple courtyard with the basket of fruits, the owner of the fruits would make a declaration, a very solemn declaration of praise and thanksgiving to God, recounting the history of Israel from the time of Laban and Jacob down to their descent into Egypt and God's redemption from there. So this is the very core of the Haggadah, this verse-by-verse midrash on the words of that declaration there in the portion of Ki Tavor, the declaration over the first fruits. And the Haggadah tells the story of the Exodus stage by stage as it darshans one by one the words in those verses, and speaks about how under the severe oppression of the Egyptians, the children of Israel cried out to the Lord God, and God heard the people, God listened to their voice, and that was when the Exodus began. He saw our toil and our trouble, and the Midrash explains what were those forms of toil and trouble, and describes blow by blow the stages of the plagues that afflicted Egypt in the run-up to the actual Exodus. And the passage also alludes to various other prophecies of the hand of God that is displayed in history, and it is then that the Haggadah begins the account of the 10 plagues. Well, the account of the 10 plagues is actually introduced by words that relate to the end of time and to God's retribution on the nations with blood, fire, and columns of smoke. And then there's a whole we actually recite one by one the 10 plagues in turn, and it's customary for each person to dip a finger into their cup of wine and spill it on a saucer, representing pain for these plagues against Egypt, or to spill a bit from the cup. And then our sages enter a discussion as to exactly how many plagues there were. If the sages of Egypt said this is the finger of God, then when the Torah says that God displayed his hand, there must have been 5 fingers. Each plague was 5-fold or more. And after that account, that's when we now come to, again, the singing of the Haggadah. By the time we come to the very famous song of Dayenu, we've recounted all the main points of the history of the Exodus, and this is something which it is customary in that account of the Exodus to linger over until we come to the song that recounts all of God's miracles and wonders to Egypt one by one, and how each one, had it been the only one, would have been enough. Kamo ma'alois toivois lamakom oleinu Ilo hoitzeanu mimitzrayim Volo osovohem shefotim dayenu Ilo osovohem shefotim Voloi oso velohem dayenu אילו עשו אלוהיהם ולא הורג את בכוריהם דיינו. דיינו, 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 בום בום, דיינו, 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 דיינו. אילו הורגס בכוריהם ולא נוסן לנו אסמו מוינום דיינו. אילו נוסן לנו אסמו מוינום ולא קורא לנו אס היום דיינו. אילו קורא לנו אס היום ולא יעבירנו בסויחו בחורבו דיינו. דיינו, 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 בובו, דיינו, 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 דיינו. So after the song of Dayenu, the Haggadah goes on to enumerate how much more so after God performed all these miracles for us. And then the Haggadah goes on to quote Rabban Gamliel, who was the head of the Sanhedrin in the closing days of the Second Temple, how he said that there are these three things that we must mention at the Passover Seder, and these are the Pesach, that is sadly lacking to us, the actual Pesach sacrifice, and the commandment of Matzah, also a Torah commandment, and the Maror, the bitter herb. So after the enumeration of these three items and their significance, the Pesach, the Matzah, and the Maror, that is when we actually conclude the main narrative part of the Haggadah, and we are then going to recite the Hallel. This is one of the only times that the Hallel, that is Psalms 113 through to the end of 118, are actually sung in the home. They are sung in the synagogue every Rosh Chodesh and every major festival except for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and also every one of the 8 days of Chanukah. And now we are going to divide on the Seder night the recital of these Psalms 113 through 118 of the book of Psalms into two. We're going to say two of these Psalms before the meal. We are then going to come to the climax of the Seder, the eating of the matzah. And then after our accompanying meal, which in temple times would have included the Pesach sacrifice, the eating of the meat of the lamb or the goat, we then recite the Birkat HaMazon, the grace after meals, and then follow with the remaining part of the Hallel. Well, I have my own melody for the second of the Psalms of the Hallel. It's not my own memory, it's my adaptation of a melody that I first heard in the year 1970 when I made my first visit to Israel as a non-observant Jewish tourist in a group of 30 or so students. That was 3 years after the Six-Day War. And my attention was caught by a most beautiful song that was then a hit, which was talking about how the Israeli army in the Six-Day War actually penetrated all along the coast of Egypt all the way to Sharm el-Sheikh. And there was a song that described this amazing victory and conquest, which unfortunately was all undone when Menachem Begin gave all those territories on a plate to Egypt for nothing except bits of paper in return. But the song, I think, may be beautifully adapted to the great miracle of the crossing of the Red Sea and the crossing of the Jordan at the time of the Exodus and the entry into the land. B'tzeis Yisrael Mitzrayim Beis Yaakov Meyam Lois Hayisa Yehuda LeKodeshai Yisrael Mamshel Esav Ayam Ra Vayonos Hayardain Yisav Leachor Harim Rakadu Chaylim Gevois Kivenait Zoin Malcho Hayom Kisanus Hayardoin Tisav Leachor Harem Tirkedu Chaylim Gevois Kivenait Zoin Milifnei Yadon Chul Yoretz Milifnei Elohai Yaakov Ha'hoi v'chi ha'asur Agav Moyim Chalomish Lemayon Hamayim. So following these two psalms, the first two psalms of the Hallel, we then come to the climax of the Seder night, which in our time is the very solemn eating of the matzot, followed by the eating of the maror and the sandwich that we make of the matzah and the maror in memory of Hallel, who would eat his Pesach sacrifice meat with matzah and maror in a kind of sandwich. And then after we have satisfied ourselves with the meal, we then go on to the next part of the Haggadah, which is the Birkat Hamazon, the grace after meals. And after the Birkat Hamazon, we then come to the main singing part of the evening, which is the second half, or the remaining half of the Hallel, and various other songs that have been added over the generations to the Haggadah liturgy. So following now on with the Haggadah after the second cup of wine, washing our hands for the matzah, the breaking of the matzah, then eating the maror, and then the sandwich, and then shulchan orech, the setting of the table for the main part of our meal, followed by tzafun, the eating of the afikoman, those pieces of matzah we'd put away at the beginning of the Seder to allude to the Pesach sacrifice eaten at the end of the meal to retain the taste all the night. And then we come to Barech, the Birkat Hamazon, and after the Birkat Hamazon is complete and we drink the third cup of wine over the Birkat Hamazon, we then, it's customary to recite these words from assorted sources with our doors open, calling upon God to pour out his wrath upon those nations who have oppressed Israel over thousands of years. And this is then followed by the continuation of the Hallel. Well, for the next psalm of the Hallel, which is 115, I've received from my family a melody that my mother told me was sung by her father of blessed memory, speaking about the idols which the heathen nations of the world have been worshipping. Pelahem ולא ידברו, עיניים לא הם ולא יראו, אוזניים לא הם ולא ישמעו, אף לא הם ולא יריחו, יבבדיים ולא יבמשון, רגליהם ולא יהלכו, לא יגעו בגרעינם כמוים יהיו בבויסיהם, כל אשר בוטח בהם. I have heard from the late Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach of blessed memory, the very beautiful melody which is widely sung in synagogues today to the Psalm 116 in its verses 112 to 19. Moshiv l'Adonai kol tagmolai oloi kol Yeshuais eso ובשם אדוני אקרא נדרי לאדוני אשלם נגנו לכל עמי יקור בני אדוני עמוסו לחסדו אונו אדוני כי אני עבדך בן עמוסך אונו אדוני כי אני עבדך בן עמוסך אני עבדך בן עמוסך פיתחתו למוסרוי לכו את בגדי וטובודו ובשם אדוני יקרא נדרי לאדוני יום השלם נגדו לכל עמי בחזרס פסח אדוני בסוכרי ירושלים הללויה. Now, at this point in the Hallel, we need a wake-up as we approach the section of Hodu Lashem Ki Tov Ki La'olam Chazdo. Give praises to God for His kindnesses forever. So there is a melody which is sung by the Breslov Hasidim often over Shir HaMa'alot, Psalm 126, prior to the Birkat HaMazon, which occurred to me could be adapted to the words of this psalm now, Psalm 117, the closing verses. Bam ba 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 bam bam bye yam bam 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 ba ba bam bam hallelujah sadoy noim ay la 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 kol goyim shabechu kolohomim כי גובר עלינו, כי
Kovar aleinu chazdai ve'emes Adonai liyam v'elam Hallelujah. Hodor Adonai kiyitev kili elam chavavasdai yaimano Yisrael kili elam chasdai yaimerono veizaroin kili yavoilam Hagaddah yaimruno yirei Adonai kili yailam chasdai. There follows the very profoundly deep section, the opening verses of Psalm 118, which allude on the Kabbalistic level to the 13 attributes of God's mercy, and then the closing verses before the appeal for God to save and prosper us. These closing verses, it's customary to in the synagogue to often for the chazanim to sing these independently, and in my childhood at our synagogue in London, known as the Shul in the Wood, in the John's Wood neighborhood in central London, the chazan would sing this melody, which my father, of blessed memory, said is reminiscent to him of a theme that is heard in a violin concerto of Mozart, known as the Turkish concerto, in which there is a section of the violin that appears to follow this melody. And my father, of blessed memory, thought that perhaps Mozart had heard this memory at some Jewish town or village and picked it up. Hoyrecho ki yanisoni vateli lisho Hoyrecho ki yanisoni vateli lisho Evelem waso boinim Hoy sol roish pino Evelem wasu aboinim Hoy sol roish pino Meis Adonai Hoy so zois He niflos b'yainainu Meis Adonai Hoy so zois He niflos b'yainainu Ze hayom oso Adonai No kilo v'nizmecho voy Ze hayom oso Adonai no kilo v'nismecho vo. Now the following verses towards the end of the Hallel, please God save us, please God prosper us. These are said to be verses that can have enormous effect on the blessing we may receive from above if we will say them with full intent. And for these verses I have on occasion adapted melodies that are sung by the Breslov Hasidim on Yom Kippur, after the description of how the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, would enter into the Holy of Holies on the Day of Atonement. There is a very beautiful piyut, a liturgical poem, describing afterwards how his face would radiate with light when he would emerge unscathed from the Holy of Holies, comparing the face of the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, radiantly shining. Oh, no, Adonai, Hoshiach, no, Adonai Hoshiana Adonai Haslichona Adonai Haslichona. Finally, at the end of the Hallel, we come to a number of verses, including one that many people know, a very beautiful melody that is sung by the Chabad Hasidim. Eliato v'haideko Elohai arei memeko Eliato v'haideko Elohai arei memeko Eliato v'hoidekum Elohai aremameko Eliato v'hoidekum Elohai aremameko. Well, we now come to my favorite part of the Pesach celebration, the Leil HaSeder, which is the songs that have been added to the liturgy over the years. And I would like to share with you some of the songs that we've had in my family from the time I was a little boy growing up in my parents' home. And after the actual conclusion of the Hallel, it's customary to recite the section of the Nishmat that is recited on the Shabbat morning after the Song of the Red Sea, and there are concluding praises in conclusion of the Haggadah and the fourth cup of wine, and it's then that we come to the Nirtzah, where we pray to God, having completed the actual celebration, that all should be accepted by heaven. Chasal esido Pesach hilchosoi kol mishpotoi vechukosoi kashe zochinu lesader oisoi Ken nizke לעשוי סוי זוך שרחן מהיינו קוימם קל הדס ממונו בקורב נעל ניתחנו פדויים לציין בדינום. Well, there are the very lengthy Pismonim, a very beautiful liturgical Hebrew describing the miracles that occurred throughout history of Israel in all the generations from the times of Abraham and afterwards on the 15th of Nisan, and songs which are sung in a number of communities, some on the second night of the Seder. And here is one most beautiful praise of God when one is filled with the joys of life after drinking 4 cups of wine. And we have this very beautiful traditional melody in praise of God. Ki כי לא אדיר במלוכו, בוכו קהלוכו, גדודיו יאמרו לוי, לכו ולכו, לכו כי לכו, לכו אף לכו, לכו אדוני ים המלוכו, כי לא דגו במלוכו, הודור קהלוכו, וסיקו ויאמרו לוי, לכו, 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 כי לכו, לכו אב לכו, לכו אדוני ים המלוכו, כי לא כי לא זכאי במלוכו, חוסן קהלוכו, תפסר ויאמרו לוי, לכו, 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 כי לכו, לכו אב לכו, לכו אדוני ים המלוכו, כי לא And so this very beautiful melody goes on. And then we come to a very well-known song which celebrates the coming rebuilding of the temple. There are many well-known and widely dispersed melodies to this, including that of the late Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach of blessed memory, but I will share with you equally, if not more widely known, melody. Adirehu bivane veizai bakarayv bimahera bimahera beyameinu bekarayv el bnei bnei beizcha bekarayv bachurehu gadolehu Dagulahu Yivene Beizai Bakara Bimahera Beyamenu Bekavara Bnei Beizcha Bekara Haddurehu Vasikeu Zakai'u Yevene Beizai Bekara Bimahera Beyameinu Bekara Bnei Beizcha Bekara. And so this song goes on with all its verses. On the second night of the Seder, the second night of Pesach, it's at this point that we recite the counting of the Omer, those who are making a Seder. And then we come to this very beautiful song based upon the numbers. Who knows one? One God. Who knows two? The two tablets of the covenant. Who knows three? The three patriarchs. Who knows four? The four matriarchs. Who knows five? Five books of Moses. Who knows six? Six orders of the Mishnah. 7 days of the Sabbath. 8 days of the circumcision of a male child. 9 months of pregnancy. 10 commandments. 11 stars. 12 tribes. 13 attributes of mercy. Echad mi yodeya, echad ani yodeya, echad Eloheinu shebashamayim u'va'aretz. Shenayim mi yodeya, shenayim ani yodeya, shenei luchos habris, echad Eloheinu shebashamayim u'va'aretz. Sheleisha mi yodeya, שלא ישו אני יודע, שלא ישבו שני לוחס הבריס, אחד אלוהינו שבשמיים ובארץ. ארבע מי יודע, ארבע אני יודע, ארבע אמו חויס שלושה אבוי שני לוחס הבריס, אחד אלוהינו שבשמיים ובארץ. חמישה מי יודע, חמישה אני יודע, חמישה חומשי תוירה, ארבע אמו שלושה אבוי שני לוחס הבריס, אחד אלוהינו שבשמיים ובארץ. שישה מי יודע, שישה אני יודע, שישה סדרי משנה, חמישה חומשי תוירה, ארבע אמו שלושה אבוי שני לוחס הבריס, אחד אלוהינו שבשמיים ובארץ. שבע מי יודע, שבע אני יודע, שבע משבתו, שישה סדרי משנה, חמישה חומשי תוירה, ארבע אמו שלושה אבוי שני לוחס הבריס, אחד אלוהינו שבשמיים ובארץ. שמונה מי יודע, שמונה אני יודע, שמונה ממילו, שבע משבתו, שישה סדרי משנה, חמישה חומשי תוירה, ארבע אמו שלושה אבוי שני לוחס הבריס, אחד אלוהינו שבשמיים ובארץ. Well, by this point, you get the point. And now finally, the beloved conclusion of the formal part of the Seder for those who are not yet asleep. And this will be followed afterwards by the recital of King Solomon's Song of Songs for those who wish, a very great mitzvah to continue the night with added praises. But here the beloved Hagaddah. Hagaddah, Hagaddah, tezambinambo bisrei zuzei Hagaddah, Hagaddah, ve'aso shunra v'yo Klo Hagaddah tezambin ambo bisrei zuzei Hagaddah, Hagaddah, ve'oso chalbo waf 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 ve'noshach leshunro miau. Diyochlo Hagaddah tezambin ambo bisrei zuzei Hagaddah, Hagaddah. ויוסו חוטרו, והיא כל החלבו, ודנושך לשונרו, מיהו, דיוכלו לגדיו, לזבינה בו בזרי זוזי, חגדיו, ויוסו נורו, ושורף לו חוטרו, דהי כל החלבו דנושך לשונרו, דיוכלו לגדיו, לזבינה בו בזרי זוזי, חגדיו, ויעשו מיו, בלופ 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 בלופ, וחיבו לנו ראש. דשורף לחוטרו, דהי כל החלבו, דנושך לשונרו, דיוכלו לגדיו, דזבינה בו בזרי זוזי, חגדיו, ויעשו תירו עמו, ושוסו למאיה, לחבו, לנורו, דשורף לחוטרו, דהי כל החלבו, דנושך לשונרו, דיוכלו לגדיו, דזבינה בו בזרי זוזי, חגדיו, ויעשו השייכית, ושוחד לסוירו, דשוסו למאיה, דחמבה לנורו, דשורף לחוטרו, דהי כל החלבו, דנושך לשונרו, דיוכלו לגדיו, דזבינה בו בזרי זוזי, חגדיו, ויעשו מלוך המובל, ושוחט לשייכית, דשוחט לסויר, לשוסול למייר, חמל הנור, לסורב לחוטרו, כל החלבות הנושא לשונרו, יאכלו לגד ידדה בינה בו בישראל זוזי, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, ויעשו הקדוש ברוך הוא, ושוחט למלוך המובן, לשוחט לשויכת, לשוחט לסויר, לשוסו למייר, לחבל הנור, לסורב לחוטר, לקרוא לחלבו, לנושר לשונרו, יאכלו לגד, תבינה בו ביזרי זוזי, Hagaddah, Hagaddah. My dear friends, we are in exceptional times. It is an amazing wonder that we're actually able to stay in touch through the internet, and that God should give me health and strength. It is my plan and intention to remain in weekly contact with you on Sundays. This coming Sunday, which will be the fourth day of the festival of Pesach, and I will not be able to attend the synagogue since my health requires that I remain in the home at this time, even if it were possible to gather in the synagogue. And since the fourth day of Pesach is the yahrzeit, the annual memory of my father who passed away on the fourth day of Pesach, I will, instead of being able to say the Kaddishes for my late father, I will be dedicating the coming week's class on the fourth day of Pesach, this coming Sunday, to my father's Ilui Nishamati, the elevation of his soul. These are indeed amazing times, and let us stay in touch, my friends. Feel free to contact me through the azamra.org contact button, and also those who are not able to get out and have a lot of time on their hands, we have an abundance of materials on the azamra.org website, materials on healing, materials on spiritual strength and encouragement, and many other areas, so please do take advantage. So we have this week, today, tomorrow, and Tuesday during the day, today and tomorrow principally, and Tuesday during the day, to get our houses as clean and chometz free as possible before Tuesday night, when we make our bedikat chametz, the search for the chametz. Even if one has cleaned out one's house and is quite clear that there are no crumbs anywhere after one's cleaning job, it is still customary to carefully lay, or have somebody else lay, 10 little carefully wrapped packages of crumbs of morsels of bread, where the crumbs won't get out of the packaging, to distribute them around the house. And then the person making the search, with his or her a candle and a feather, if that's the custom, should make sure they gather those 10 pieces and woe-betide them if they don't find them. And then on Wednesday morning, we shall have to devise some way to destroy the remaining chametz in our possession, if we have not arranged to sell it to a non-Jew, as is explained in a website linked on this week's Azamra Institute, azamra.org weekly Torah calendar and diary. So do check out that link if you wish to do this. Then on Wednesday morning, then we have to destroy our remaining chometz, and Wednesday evening enters the festival, and let us all celebrate the Seder night with great joy, and in the face of, despite the current situation, we shall find that God's mercy is unending, and that we shall enjoy Geula Shlema, a complete and lasting redemption, very soon in our times. From here in Yerushalayim, Chag Sameach, a joyous festival no matter what, and God willing, we will be able to join together again, all being well, this coming Sunday on the fourth day of Pesach. Shavua Tov U'Mevorach, and Chag Sameach.